Welcome, students. So today we are going to just look after the Django, the leftover part. And as far as your syllabus is concerned, we do not really have in detail, the we do not have a deep concepts of Django. So it just that rare idea has been given to you what exactly a Django is and how to create a basic application, and that is what we have in the syllabus. So what I have done is I've already coded a lot of things into this, and I'm just going to explain you what exactly I did and how I did it. So yesterday what we did is we created this sunbeam, that was the name of the project, and inside that project we created a app that is student. And then, as I said, under the student we are going to have some files, that is the init, which indicates that this is a package. Then we have the admin apps, and then we had models, right? And we had created a urls file, that was this one, if you can remember. So this is what we did yesterday, and let us just go through what exactly I did. I went to views, okay, inside the app, that is the name of the app is student. And now I've completely changed the code. I'm going to explain you what exactly this is. But yesterday what we did is we had this function, that is index, and then we were simply displaying the message, that was the http response that we were sending to the client, and that was the hello world. Okay, so that was the code that we did, and today I have changed this code. I'm going to explain you this in coming few minutes. And then what we had is inside the project also we have some files where we need to do some settings, and we went to settings. Inside the settings, we first thing that we did was, we have to register the app, and the name of the app is student. Okay, so that was the thing that we did inside the settings. And then in the urls, that was under the project. Okay, now never get confused about it, because this is something that we created under the app, and under the project already we have a file, that is the urls.py. And inside this is what we included, that if the user gives the request to the server, that is the name of the website and then slash student, then we are going to take that request, and we are going to respond to that request and send some data to the client. Okay, so it's basically about client and server. And please understand that we are working with the mtv or mvt model. So you can call it as mtv or mvt. So basically stands for models, and v stands for views, and t stands for templates. Now M is something that we are going to create a model. We have already worked with the V, that is views. So these are the views that we create for the user, and then we display the content to the user in form of a HTML, in form of a HTML template. And so the word, that is T, that is template. So that is the MVT. Out of this already we have worked with V and T. So V are the views, that is the function. So we are going to accept the request from the user, and we are going to do something about that request, and then we are going to send the data from our server to the client in form of a HTML template. So that is about the V and T. And models, now we are going to work with models. Now what we need to do is we need to create models. Okay, so models, there is already a file with the name models.py. You have to double click onto that, and when you do that, okay, it is going to be absolutely empty. Okay, but now what I have done is I have a model out here, and the first thing that you need to do is you need to import, that is django.db.models. Okay, this is the the function that you need to have. we need to make use of this function. Okay, so it's inside the Django.db. So you need to import this, and then okay, it's a model basically, and then we call that okay models.model. Okay, so now this is user defined, this is completely user defined. And what exactly is this? This is a class. Now I wonder why CBSE has not included classes and objects. And since we have not gone through classes and objects at this point, maybe this is really very new to you, but this is basically a class which is a kind of a blueprint. And this class holds the fields, like it has, when we create a object out of this class, it is going to have the fields, that is id, which is going to act like the primary key, then the name, and then I said st class because class is a keyword, so I couldn't give class, so that is st class underscore class, and then the section. Okay, so this is a model basically. And then what we need to do is we need to migrate this model to the database. Okay, now we can migrate this model to MySQL or MS SQL, but what we are going to do is Django comes with a default database, that is over here you will find, that is Sqlite 3. Now this is a file based database, it is not like a server based database like what we have done before. So we have worked with MySQL. So MySQL is basically a server based database where we send the request to the server, and the server sends the data to us. Okay, so these software like MySQL, Oracle, and MS SQL, which belongs to Microsoft, these are server based database management system. But SQLite 3 is a file based, which means it is simply a file and nothing more than that. But we can store huge amount of data in SQLite, and also we can use the SQL language to access the data, to delete the data, to update the data. All that operations that we perform with MySQL, we can do this with SQLite also. Now this kind of database, as I said, it is completely a file and nothing more than that. So we don't have like MySQL like a huge application like a workbench we're going to work with, nothing of that sort. Yes, we do have a GUI interface that has been provided to us. I'm going to show that also to you. But this is only a file-based database. Please understand this. Where this database is used is in your mobile. Basically, your mobile uses SQLite 3 database. All your data is stored in this particular database, which is a file-based database. Android basically uses SQLite as the database, as a backend to store all its data. So all your mobile data kind of gets stored in this database. Okay, so that is the main purpose of SQLite. So if you really want an application where you do not really want to get connected to the DBMS server, and you simply want a simple file based database, so you can go for SQLite 3. So that is all about SQLite. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to migrate this model to the SQLite. When I say migrate, is basically what I'm going to do is what we do with MySQL. We go to MySQL, we basically define a schema, we create the database, right? And then under that database, what we do is we create tables. Now that is a manual process that we do directly into MySQL. But this is a different approach. What we do is we first create a model, and then we migrate this model to the MySQL. So basically what is going to happen is when I migrate this, automatically a table is going to get created like the ID, the name, the class, and the section. And you can see that I have specified ID as the integer field, and models, that is a char field or char field, and the capacity is 100 characters. And then for the class I kept it as 20, and for the section 20 I have kept it. Okay, so this is what we actually defined, and then we migrate this. How to migrate it is we are going to make use of the command, that is python manage dot py, and I will say make migrations. Now already I've done some migrations before, so it is going to say no changes detected because I have already migrated this to the MySQL. I mean, not the MySQL, SQLite. Okay. And that is the first command basically. And then it is going to, if there is any kind of problem with this particular model, it is going to show you. Otherwise, then you have to give the next command, that is python manage.py and migrate. Okay, that's the next command. The first command is python manage.py make migrations, and then python manage.py migrate, and that is going to migrate this model into the database, which means it is going to create a table of this structure. Okay, now coming back to MySQL, if you really want the GUI look of this, so what you can do is you can go to the website, that is the SQLite studio.pl. That's the name of the website, and then straight away you will find the download option. Just download it, and after you download it, you need to extract it and then run the setup. Okay, and this is going to give you the GUI look for your application. I'm going to show the application as well, and this is the SQLite, and what I've done is I've opened that database, that is this one. So basically this SQLite file, it resides under this folder. What is the name of the folder? That is C colon, if you can see it, C colon user, and the name, that is AJPYT, or for you it might be your name, then PyCharm project slash final test. Now that's the name of the project that I, name of the folder that I have given. Okay, so you need to go to that folder. Inside that folder, so basically you're going to click on the database, add a database, then click on that folder icon, and then over here you can see I went to that particular path, and over here that is db.sqlite3, and I just gave a double click onto it, and then what I had is this in front of me. It is going to show you a lot of tables basically, but you are just going to concern with the student table. As you can see, student underscore student, and that is your main table, and you can see that is id, name, class, and section got automatically created. Okay, so that is what we have till now, and so okay, so this was the structure that got automatically created when I migrated the model to the MySQLite. Okay, so then what we need to do is, after creating the models, we need to create forms. Now what are forms? Forms are basically for the user, where the user can enter the data, and then using that form we can accept the data and store in the database, and that form is going to be a HTML page basically. Okay, so first we have to create the model. After creating this model and migrating that model, we need to go to forms. Now this is user defined. I mean, I created a file with the name forms.py, just like what I did yesterday with the urls.py. So this is forms.py. So inside, you need to create this file. Inside this file, you need to add this code, that is, you have to first add the model that you created. So I say from dot means from the current folder, that is models, import student. Okay, so I have just imported the model, and then for creating the form you need to import the Django modules, that is django.forms import model form. Okay, and then we're going to make use of this over here. Now this is, you can see class, again I'm going to make use of a class. Name of the class will be student form, and make sure when you have your model as student, so name of your form will be student form, and then the argument, that is the model form. Inside this class we have a nested class, and this is very very important, that is class meta. The class meta is basically where you specify the model. Okay, you're going to give this assign to this model. This is for the Django. and the name of your model and the fields that you want to display onto your HTML. And so I said only name, that is the st underscore class, and section. You can see these are the same names what I have in my models. I need to give the same names, otherwise it is going to throw an error. So this is, we are actually creating a form which will get displayed on the browser. Okay, so this is about the forms. It's pretty simple. And then what we need to do is we need to create a folder. So I just gave a right click onto the app, went to new, and then went to the directory. Inside that, I gave a name to the directory, that is templates, and make sure you have to give the same name, templates. Okay, so under the templates, what I did is, you can see under the templates, now inside that template I created a HTML page. How I created that? Just give a right click, went to new, and then you can see HTML file. Okay, HTML file, and then I just gave a name to the file, that is index.html, and this is the file. Okay, I have done a lot of things into this. That is under the body tag. Now if you have really studied well in the class 10 for the tables and for the HTML, so this is very easy for you. It's super easy, in fact. Okay, and with tables. So this is the HTML code, and before we go ahead, I'm going to explain you this. What we need to do is this folder, that is a templates folder, we need to go to settings, and under the settings we have something called as templates. Okay, this is a list. Under that list we have a, you know, a directory, a dictionary I mean to say, and then there is a, again we have the key and the value pair. So inside that there is a key value, that is the dirs, that are directories, and this will be empty for you. What you need to do is, since I created this folder templates, you need to just exactly type the same name. Okay, that's the value for the key, that is dirs. Okay, so that is the settings that we need to do. Now you might be finding this, okay, a lot of things that we need to set up, but please understand, this is just the initial phase, and once we set up all the things, after that, okay, things becomes pretty easy. Okay, once you start developing the things, these are the initial settings that we have to do it. Okay, so after that, then what we need to do is, we need to, before I explain the index.html, I need to go to views. Okay, now what happens when I give the request, that is something like, you know, if I give the request, that is 120, okay, that is the local address slash student, and then when I press enter, something should happen. Okay, so we already did this yesterday, and that was over here in the project, under the project urls, and that is, if I say student slash, then I'm going to include that urls of the app, that is student. Okay, and the url s.py is where we are actually calling to the function. In fact, we are just not calling, we're just passing the address, that is views.index. And if I go to views, then we have this code. So if the user gives that request for student, so I'm going to evoke this particular function. Okay, so what is going to happen in this function is, I need to create a form. So basically you're going to say from dot, which is the current directory, forms, which is this form, import the student form. Okay, so inside that form you can see we have the student form. That's the same thing that we did in the views, and we need to import the Django module, that is the render. Okay, the render function. Okay, for rendering the HTML page. Now the first thing that we need to do is, for the form, okay, we need to, I say form is equal to, so this is just a user defined student form. So basically I'm creating an object, okay, of this particular class. Okay, that is what it means basically. Okay, okay. So then when the user gives the request for student, so I'm going to create an object of this form, that is this form. This is just a username, and I'm going to check whether it is valid form or not. Okay, that validation we have to do it. And then if it is so, so whatever data the user is going to enter, we are going to store that into the database. This is what it means. Okay, now let me just go to, that is index.html, and this is basically going to, you know, get displayed when the user is basically goes to student. Okay, do not get confused, I'm going to explain you this. So this is a form, as you can see out here. This is the HTML form. Okay, HTML form, it says method is equal to post, which means that this form is going to take some data, and that data is going to go to the server, and I say no validate, which means the browser will not do any kind of validation in this form. Okay, then there is a very important, that is a code that we need to include, that is Csrf. So that is a cross site, you know, that is okay, something related to, I'm not getting the full form, but that is, this code is basically important for, for some kind of data that can be hacked basically by some malicious sites. Okay, and just to avoid that, we need to include this code into our form, and this is very very important, because when the user enters the data into the form, the data goes to the server, and in between there might be some malicious sites that can hack your data. So basically this is the code that is going to help you, that is going to protect your data. Okay, and I've given this twice, I just require once. And then there is a table, as you can see, but inside the table we don't have the tr tag and the td tag. What I have is form.as as table. Now this is all Django, defined basically. And when I say form.as table, this is basically referring to this particular object. Okay, this particular object, that is form, which means that the data is going to, the form is going to show in form of a table. Okay, let me just go to the student now and press enter. The moment I press enter, you can see that the data, this is a kind of form that got displayed in front of you, and you can see that we did not do anything for this. We just had that table tag, and inside that table tag we just had that form dot as table, and this automatically got displayed, right? So this is like, Django really helps. I'm just going to increase the size. So this is a kind of a form that got displayed. Now you can enter some data out here. Okay, what is going to happen is, if I enter a data like Vijay, and name of the class is, you know 8 and A, and there is a submit button. The moment I click on the submit button, what is going to happen, this data is going to go to the server, and the server is going to handle, and in server, which function is going to handle that? It is the, under the views we have the, inside the views.py we have the index function, which is going to handle this data. The moment I click on submit, now the, after, clicking on submit, I should have some message, but I've not done that. But what happened now, the moment I clicked on submit, what happened is that data went to the server, and inside the server, it actually went into the database. Okay, so now let me show you the database. This was the database, and I go to data, and let me just open it one more time. That is Okay, just a minute. Okay, so refresh the schema, then go to, I had this in form view, create view. Okay, so you can see there is already a data over here, and maybe something went wrong that the data did not got stored. Let me just check. Okay, nothing. So okay, well, let me try one more time. And I give this time as 5a and click on submit, and then it goes stored in the database. Okay, so this is how it actually works, children. We do not really have a, okay, let me just, let me close this and open this one more time. Okay, here it is. Okay, all the data was stored. You can see this was the first, already there was a record. This was second time when we give the submit, and this was the third time, and that's the same data that we gave in the form. So this is how this basically things work, children. And we do not really have a lot of weightage for the Django. It is around 1 or 2 marks, and that is all that we have. We do not have more than that. So you do not really have to spend a lot of time onto this. Once you give your exams and all for your future, then you can really start working with Django if you really want to become a web developer, a web web applications that you can develop, right? So if you really want to be that developer, then you can really take this seriously. So this is all that we have in the chapter. I showed you how the data gets, what is a get request. So what is a get request? So get request is something when when you're requesting something. So I say student and I press enter. So that is a get request to the server, and you will have this form in front of you. And when I enter the data into this and I click on submit, so that is a post request. So that data goes to the server, right? So this is about the get request and the post request, and this is where we handled everything. And as I said, we do not have to spend a lot of time onto this. I just gave you a rare idea how to work with this. And just you need to understand few theory things. What is a get request, post request? I think just 1 mark question may be asked in the exam for your board paper. Okay, so just prepare it accordingly. So that's it, children. And then maybe tomorrow we are going to start with the theory chapters, and then some leftovers we're going to start, and then a lot of revision we're going to take. Okay, so that's it for now. We're going to meet tomorrow. Bye.